Hi everyone. Yeah, I hope everyone is doing good. Yeah, today I wanted to share like how you can become a beginner backend development engineer. Like because I've been getting a few queries from some of my friends. So like I thought I'll share like how you should go about learning the track. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the first thing I would like to tell is like you should just get over a lot of assumptions that you might have. So some of those are basically like, okay, you need to have a college degree to become a back-end engineer or a front-end engineer. You don't really need a college degree in order to become the software development engineer, right? That is one fact. You should just get over it. The second thing is basically like people think that like DSA is the core thing you should know about if you want to get into development. Like that is not really true. It is required at some places, but it is not. It is good to have the knowledge about, but it's not really required up to the level that you might be thinking of, right? So you should get over it, like, okay, that you really need it. You probably don't need it at this point, or like even to get a job you don't really need it. Like there are a lot of opportunities outside like that don't require any data structure algorithm knowledge. uh, right. Also you should like get over the fact like, okay, current in the current market there are no jobs. How can I find the jobs? Like it's really hard to get the jobs. Like you haven't tried, right? You haven't tried right now. Like how can you say that, okay, I'm like struggling to get the job? Like you haven't tried enough. You need to try it like hard enough to like say that, right? Okay, let's say like you've tried. You are not probably aware of the opportunities that are there. Like you are not aware like how many opportunities in open source are present, right? How many opportunities in web3 are present? How many opportunities in like a particular niche in which you can be expert at are present, right? So yeah, like get over a lot of assumptions. Like like people have the people are assuming that like, okay, I basically they have built like very beginner level resumes, and like, okay, they are thinking like, okay, I'll be able to crack this company's interview, or like at least my resume will be like it'll go after the screening, like that ATS engine, so that like his or her resume will be selected for the company, and like they'll get the interview. It's not like that, right? You need to build good projects. You need to showcase those. You need to like market those, and then you just build your presence, right? And then you end up getting the perfect job, basically like the interview for that first, right? So that is one. Okay, so again, like now when you're aware of all these things, you should focus, because like what people do is basically like they just learn things here and there, like 1 hour a day, or like they just like they've just tried learning that language or like that framework or that skill just for 2 days, and like, okay, they are tired of it. Like, okay, they think like it's too hard, they can't learn it. It's not that way, right? It just doesn't work that way. You need to focus. It's Things are very easy if you understand things nicely. Things are very easy. So you should just like you should just think that, okay, I'll just focus on, no matter like how hard it is or like how easy it is, I'll just keep on learning. I'll keep on learning gradually, and like you'll end up to that point like where you are comfortable enough, or like you're confident enough to get your desired job, right? So you need to keep that in mind. The other thing I would suggest is to learn JavaScript, or rather ES6. Why? Because it is very easy to learn language. One, and like it you can do like both backend development and front end development with it. Like if you want to go into backend, you could choose like Node.js, or like you can use like certain frameworks such as Nest.js, right? You can do Express, Koa, a lot of things you can do, right? With JavaScript backend, and using JavaScript, you can integrate with a lot of libraries and a lot of plugins which can help you like to integrate uh, like to query your database, or like listen to a lot of events, right? So those things are there. And like even if you want to build your front end with it, React, Angular, Vue.js, a lot of frameworks are out there to like build your front end UI with it. So yeah, like I think that is why I have chosen this to showcase right now. Even though like there are a lot of good languages and like good tracks, right, uh, to begin with, but I think like this would be the best, or like the preferable for everyone. Because like let's say I want to say like the best language to learn is Rust. That has a very huge steep curve of learning, right? So you shouldn't just go right away and learn Rust. So you should understand a bit of programming fundamentals, like how does for loop work, uh, how does like continue, break, switch cases work, right? Just fundamentals of those, like post increment, pre increment, right? Like those things, like how does those work. You should know the fact, like okay, how does the programming in general works. And then you should get into like learning any language, I would say. Like okay, and you should be aware enough, like okay, you can Google about these things to begin with. Like okay, okay, like how do you find like what are the fundamentals of any language, right? Just go online and like Google it. You'll just find it, right? So that is you should also like ES6 is like ECMAScript 6. It was introduced a few years back, but like it is considered as modern JavaScript, not the vanilla JavaScript. So like yeah, you should try both, like vanilla JavaScript as well as ES6. You'll get to know like what these are once you get really deep into those, right? So this is one. And then once you understand like what JavaScript is and how does it work, you so as this track is for beginner backend developers, right? So you need to you need to aware that like okay, in backend, like APIs are probably the most widely used things in backend development, right? So at least to basically make it available for front end to call that API and get some data, or like put like update or insert some data into the database or anything, right? So that for that you need some interface, you need some library or framework for that. Like so Express is such kind of thing. You can connect with you can build your own server. You can connect with you can like host it on a port like 1337 or like 3001, something like that. And like uh, then you can basically like query routes. You can put routes basically, like okay, you want to get users, you want to update users, like those things. You should learn Express if you want to get into backend at first, right? Then comes, once you have learned how to build APIs, like you need to know the database management system. In general, if you want to really say, you should know like what is SQL. And like there are like bunch of SQL databases. Much one is like MySQL, the other one is Postgres. So yeah, and there are like a bunch of NoSQL databases as well, like MongoDB. They everyone has their own pros and cons. uh, you can get into it like once you are aware like what is database and like how does things work. But I would prefer for you to begin with SQL at first, and like preferably Postgres. That would make everything much easier. So like you should know like okay, how what are tables, what are like schemas, how do you query the table, how do you get data out of those tables, how do you insert data into it, like what are joins, right? Some basic things you should know. So if you know this track, right, like if you know what is JavaScript, if you know like to build some API, if you know how to integrate the API with a database, then you're basically a beginner backend developer. You know the basic things which most of the people don't really know. Yeah, that is true. Like people don't really know like how to build APIs and like how to connect it with a database. So if you know like you're really very ahead out of a lot of people. So you should know those things. You should like be good at this flow. You should be like very good at this flow, this basic flow. You should be very good at. I'm just like stressing much more on this because like this is the crucial phase for the backend track, right? So once you know all these things, so I'll tell you like an example to basically build an API. So how you should do, like, okay, once you've learned like once you've learned the basic building the basic APIs, you should build a project with two tables. Let's say like there is one company table, one is you, and the other one is users table. Like company's table will have ID, public ID, and name, right? And the users will have username, email, and company ID, right? So like you should build the APIs where like you'll be able to create companies using those API. You should be able to get companies data out of those APIs. You should be able to create user by attaching a company to it. You should be able to update the user's email by calling the put method, or like put API, right? For the users. And like let's say if you want to get all the users for a certain company ID or like company name, you should be able to do that. And like you'll be able to do once you like know how to query the database, or like you know how to manipulate the data using JavaScript, right? And like Express is the tool which will help you to do both of those things. So that is, I guess, the basic flow. The other one is, I would say, like you need to be really good at like googling things, or like for this era, like chat GPTing things. Basically, like, you should be able to understand things on your own. You should be able to query things on your own. Like if you don't know something, you should be just like, okay, able to search that. Okay, how do I learn this? How do I do this? Probably like that, this video is just a kickstarter for that process. If you didn't know, now you know, right? So you should just do that. The other one is like once people have learned these things and still they say like, okay, we are not getting the calls for interviews, or like uh, we are not getting job at all, like even after having a lot of interviews. So the basic thing is like you are not showing off yourself once. At least like at this point probably you won't even have your portfolio. So like you should build your GitHub profile. You should commit a few things there. If you don't know what GitHub is, like just search about it, you'll know. Like you should learn what is Git, right? uh, those things you should know. And like you should just start committing to GitHub. Build your online presence, like build good projects. Put those projects in resume. And like, okay, people write in resumes like, okay, I developed this API. That is enough, right? That isn't enough, because you need to build strong things that people might say, okay, like this guy is really good to have in our, like to be there in our team, because like we need this guy. He is really good at what he does. So yeah, those things you should be aware of. Like you should just build nice resume once you build like a lot of good projects, not a lot of, but like a couple of good projects, like. And yeah, uh, if you want to know like what are good projects, like you can just YouTube it, right? Probably like there are a lot of Indian YouTubers like who are helping people to like build good projects as well these days. Like one of those is Harkirat Singh, I would say. Like he's just killing the game. uh, so so yeah, those things are there. So yep, you, I guess you now know that what you need to know. Like if you, probably I spoke a bit faster, you can like paste down the video, or like you may want to like hear it again. That is all good. Just is whatever keyword you didn't know out of this video, you can just Google it, or like just search about it on YouTube. You'll just find everything, right? Yeah, I'll put links for everything. So this is not it. Once like there are a lot of things, like knowing just ES6 concepts and like how does programming work, or like what is JavaScript isn't enough. Like there are a lot of things in JavaScript as well. It is a, like programming, and like each and every aspect of programming is very very wide in itself. So yeah, like if you want to really know, like if you want to begin with knowing how JavaScript works, at this moment probably you learn like how do you query with JavaScript, how do you work with JavaScript. But like if you want to know how JavaScript works, I would suggest that like the starting point where you can get to know what is JavaScript and like how does it really work, the beginner point would be for you to have a look at Namaste JavaScript playlist by Akshay Sani. uh, yeah. So and yeah, like this is not the only track you should just consider. Like there are a lot of things. Like this was just to show that the things work in this way. You should you should be able to adapt those things according to yourself. Yeah. I guess that's it. And like yeah, I'll put links for everything in the comments, or maybe the description. Sorry. Also, yeah, in future as well, like I'll keep uploading the videos where you can basically like get more robust at things. Yeah, I'm a like TypeScript node developer as well as like a Rust engineer. So yeah, like I'll be uploading a lot of content around it. Like wherever you need help, just let me know via comments. I'll make videos on it and like will post as soon as possible whenever I get some time. Yeah, there I didn't go very deep into this topic right now. Like each and everything, I didn't go very deep into because probably that won't make sense for you at this moment because you're looking at the beginner video, right? So probably you're just starting out, so you don't know a lot of things. Like there's no point explaining those critical concepts or like those hard things like that. Those will make your life worse, right? So you should just know like, okay, this is how it works. You should just begin with. Don't worry. Like if you are reading any article and you don't know like what that keyword is, I would say like just write that keyword for now in your notes or like some page, and like just skip that keyword for now. Like if it is very complex to understand, just skip it and note it down. Like once you are comfortable with these basic things, you'll once you after that you google it once, right? I'm damn sure that you'll know what it is, and like you will be easily able to understand like how does that work, right? So I think that's it. Yeah. Cool. Thanks. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.